It's Sabine Hossenfelder. Anyway, Sabine's folly, her free will folly, and the deadly sin of reification. Both of these articles are going to be available down below. The article is going to be available down below, and the two links that I provided down there. She recently had a video. She's out walking in the woods with one of these sticks. I don't have one of those sticks. So you're stuck with me. Get it? Stick stuck. Yelling into the camera here. I just want to give you a brief highlight of the article. I don't mean to prove everything I have here, and in fact I can't. It would take us too long. Basically, she released a video that says, science has proved, now that she knows that science has proved she can't make any choices, she makes better choices. And not only that, she wants you to know that you too can't make any choices. And if you too knew that you couldn't make any choices, you too could make better choices. So this is an argument that's actually quite silly, of course, and I tease her about this kind of stuff. And people who hold these kind of a thing, this argument that there is no free will and you can't make choices, they get somewhat irked at people who make this argument, but they never actually have a rebuttal for it, because of course you can make choices. And if you say that I can't, why then I have no choice but to tease you. There's no sense becoming angry about it. There's no sense becoming upset that I'm not able to see what you can see, because I have no choice but to act like I'm acting. Well, her video is only 7 minutes long, but I want to I've looked at this on my sites, wmbriggs.com, wmbriggssubstack.com many times, but I wanted to look at her specific arguments today. And why does she say this? Why does she say there's no free will? Basically, the deadly sin of reification has struck her, and struck her hard. The deadly sin of reification is where you look at a model, and you look at your model, and you think your model has become realer than reality. Your model has taken on life, and you begin to reject reality as it really appears for the beauty and elegance of the model, which, of course, many physics models are very beautiful and very elegant, and they take great time and energy and intelligence to figure through. Now, she says this. She says things like this. She says, we know that we're nothing but bags of particles or something like this, and that all particles behave according to certain laws of the universe. And these laws say that the particle behavior is partly deterministic, which is to say, partly caused by something, and partly random, which is to say, indeterminate, unpredictable, and according to her, uncaused. Now, let's look at this. It's not true, for one thing, that the cause of a thing are laws. I don't believe that there are scientific laws that dictate how things happen. The physicist equations have more than one interpretation. You can take them in her causal form and things like this. But to say particles obey equations, it's kind of, now she would say she was saying this in a metaphorical way, I'm sure. But if you're saying an equation is, rather a particle is obeying an equation, or even a law, that implies a repressed freedom, which is, of course, impossible. There is no freedom when everything is determined by laws and everything is unfolding strictly according to the rules. There's no deviation. In fact, you can't even form the concept of having freedom of choice without having freedom of choice. You can't have an illusion. She says free will is an illusion. Well, you can't have an illusion unless there is some consciousness there that is able to have free choice, to believe that you have free choice. Now, you don't always have free choices. Sometimes your choices are very much dependent on biological conditions, physical conditions, and so forth. But as far as that's one side. The other side is laws. Now, the laws of physicists, their laws, are only idealizations. They're very good. They're sort of correlative, I think. I'm going here on Nancy Cartwright's wonderful book, How the Laws of Physics Lie, and I have that at the links that you can look at. The book itself is online, and I have a review of it that you can read. And I'm not going to get into the whole thing here, but more or less these laws are only idealizations. They only hold if everything else is absolutely irrelevant or equal, which of course is never the case in real life. And what happens instead, I say? What happens instead is you have substance. substance. You have things, real entities, from the top down, not bottom up as particles all acting together in a machine-like metaphor of the world. In fact, it's the other way around. Things operate in a top-down fashion, using evincing the characteristics that they have and employing the powers that substances have under certain conditions. And when those conditions change, the powers may or may not be expressed and so forth. This is an older view of how science works, and I think the proper view, the sort of Aristotelian view. And that's very difficult. We can get into all that another video, but you can go and read those. You can go and read those posts. So it's not true that the equations dictate what must be the case. There's, if you interpret them in the way that I and many others interpret, that doesn't follow at all. These equations are just merely very good approximations to the way the world works, varying approximations and so forth. And the other thing was, she said, I want to quote this accurately. She said that, I want to get this exactly right. She said that, where is it here? She says, partly the particles are deterministic, meaning caused, but we differ on what is causing it. I say the substance is providing the final cause, which drives the other causes. She says it's nothing but these blind laws making everything march in step. We don't observe that to be the case, and we don't even observe. She said there's no evidence for this. As she's walking through the woods, carrying a stick, talking into the camera, using words, trying to English words at that, trying to convince you of something, saying we have no evidence that the human mind and consciousness is anything more than a machine. I don't know what to say to that, except for the model has so blinded you to reality that you can't accept the evidence of your own argument, your own ability to make the argument and so forth. Anyway, but she says that's determinism on one side. The other is the part of quantum mechanics, and nature is fundamentally random. Now, if we interpret random in the two ways, which we agree on up to a point, that is unpredictable and uncontrollable, we agree, unpredictable and uncontrollable. But that's for us. That doesn't mean for everything. For humans, yes. For everything, no. She says basically, fundamentally random means nothing controls it. Those are her exact words. Nothing controls it. That's impossible. It's not true. It can't be true. If nothing controls quantum outcomes, then quantum outcomes cannot happen. No, you can't get something from nothing, and quantum outcomes are something. Even just saying it's randomness is giving something there. It's not nothing. Of course, randomness is just a measure of your state of knowledge. So randomness isn't a cause itself. In other words, what we learned from Bell's theorem and so forth is that nature is not local. Something deeper is happening to the world. Something deeper than these simple deterministic causal laws that she's following. Something that's a whole other argument and a whole different way to think about these things. And we'll talk about that another time too. But it's just absolutely positively not true that nothing can cause quantum outcomes, because nothing can only cause nothing, and nothing can't even cause nothing. I think that's all I'm going to do. I have more on the blog and so forth. WMBriggs, WMSubstack.com. And I've already gone on longer than her video. It was my intention to go on to her 7.5 minutes, and because I can't keep my mouth shut, I've gone over 9. That's it for now. Thank you very much for listening, and go and read the article where I go into this in more in depth. Thank you.